Welcome, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Srimate Bhakti Swami Namine Snigdhasya Supraneta Bhavyamscha Sampatam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to this week's session, remembrance session of our dear Guru Maharaj. It is my privilege to introduce our speaker this week, Nrsimhananda Prabhu from South Africa. And I also would encourage, take this opportunity to encourage devotees, if they have any questions, please raise your hand in the chat, or we'll keep a little bit of time at the end as well for question and answers. Nrsimhananda Prabhu is a very senior devotee of Guru Maharaj, a disciple, and in ISKCON. So he has a lot of experience, and he can advise us as well. So please do take the opportunity to ask questions. So Nrsimhananda Prabhu is actually the founder of something called Chaitanya Life Academy. If you sort of Google it, and he's there's a lot of YouTube videos that he's produced. Very nice, actually. Wonderful way of studying Srila Prabhupada's books in a systematic way. So I'd encourage you, if you have some spare time, to do that. As mentioned, seriously practice some science and culture of Krishna consciousness since 1985, and has had the opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada's movement in many different areas like management, fundraising, deity service, education, counseling, and different capacities like temple commander, vice president, restaurant manager, and temple president. So a lot of experience in a range of different roles and capacities. And Nrsimhananda Prabhu also fully embraced monastic life for more than 30 years, 3 decades, performing various services. He has served for many years as temple president in ISKCON Hillbrow. Hillbrow, if you know, Hillbrow is in Johannesburg, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So that's in Johannesburg, somewhere I spent a little bit of time as well. In Hillbrow, Lenasia, and a place called Midrand is instrumental in establishing ISKCON in Lenasia and opened the current temple there, with the current and also the temple in Midrand. As I mentioned, he's well-versed. He's conducted many sort of structured courses over the years with many individuals, and a deep appreciation of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And in his various courses, right, in different provinces, not only in South Africa, but in fact, Nairobi, Hong Kong, Mauritius, so further afield, including India, under the auspices of VIHE in Vrindavan and Mayapur. And he's been, numerous times been on TV and radio shows presenting our philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So yes, wonderful opportunity to have Nrsimhananda Prabhu's association today. So I'll please invite him to share some of his realizations, and I understand he has also a little bit a slideshow, which is pretty good, and he'll take us through some nectar appreciation of Guru Maharaj and Krishna consciousness. Nrsimhananda Prabhu, over to you.
Thank you very much, Gaura Hari Prabhu. Just going to share my slide. should be able to see my slideshow.
It's brilliant. Wonderful.
Right. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some memories and glorification of our dear spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, the beloved son of Srila Prabhupada. Just going to cover the Mangala Charan prayers. Om Madhyanatimi Vandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mustute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I first met Guru Maharaj when he arrived in South Africa. He was in Durban Temple, and I was there. And it was in the morning program. Guru Maharaj was going to be giving the morning class, and never met Guru Maharaj before. This was the first contact. And as soon as Guru Maharaj started singing Jarad Madhava, immediately I could feel in my heart that this was my spiritual master, and that was my first contact with Guru Maharaj. It's Srila Prabhupada explains that when a Shiksha Guru late on becomes the Diksha Guru, and how will you know that that Shiksha Guru becomes your Diksha Guru? When the instruction becomes your constant companion, in the sense that they influence your heart, they impact your heart. And on the first contact with Guru Maharaj, no doubt that influence was there. And this is from that point I started developing a relationship with Guru Maharaj. And the relationship strengthened over the coming years. My relationship with Guru Maharaj was mainly based through service in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. I wasn't like a personal servant of Guru Maharaj, traveling Guru Maharaj. It was mainly because of my services in the temple. Through that service, I was able to communicate, relate, and develop a relationship with Guru Maharaj. Maharaj became the GBC in around 92, 93, and that's also when I became the temple president in ISKCON Hillbrow. So that's where the relationship really started developing. So when I joined 91, I became I joined 91, and then I became the temple commander. And then I got initiated in Durban during Krishna Janmashtami, first initiation, second initiation during Vadastami. So as a temple commander, I had a lot of services to render, and I was reducing my sleep, my rest. So from 6 hours, I would rest 4 hours, and then 3 hours a day. And eventually I would, at one point, it was like 2 hours a day. And at that point, I wrote a letter to Guru Maharaj as a temple commander, doing a lot of services. And I wrote a letter telling Guru Maharaj, sleeping 2 hours a day, and I'm doing these services. So he wrote back a letter And in the letter, Guru Maharaj mildly chastised me. And he said, stop pretending. Rest minimum 6 hours. So I took that as an instruction. And since then, I would rest 6 hours from that day. And even now, the body is tuned 6 hours and then you up. So that was how Guru Maharaj was able to, perceive an obstacle which I thought I was advancing, but pretending premature, and Guru Maharaj highlighted that. Stop pretending, rest for 6 hours. When I joined the temple, I immediately began or loved to dance. In fact, coming from a Hindu background, we were told when you go in front of the altar, see the deities, you have to fold your hands and do not move or dance. It was like an offense. Our family members, our parents told us it's like a big offense to dance. You just stand there in a prayerful mode. So when I came to the Muldazar temple, between 85 and 90, and I, first time entered the temple room and I saw the devotees dancing, I was totally shocked. I thought, what are they doing? How can they do? How can they be doing this? They're not supposed to be doing this. They're not supposed to be dancing in front of the deities or the altar. Then I began to learn about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this process of chanting and dancing. So when I joined in the Hillbrow temple during Mangal Arati, it was, that's like the party, Krishna conscious party begins right at Mangal Arati, chanting and dancing. So I was dancing, but when I was looking around, I noticed, well, I'm the only one dancing. So I thought maybe something's wrong with me. So I wrote another letter to Guru Maharaj explaining, that I asked him a question. Guru Maharaj, is it an offense to dance in front of the deities? And I was young, never read Nectar Devotion at the time, so didn't know. And I wrote him, can I dance in front of the deities? And then Guru Maharaj responded back with a letter. And he said, yes, always dance in front of the deities. So that was also a wonderful instruction. And often Guru Maharaj in his letter would say that as we advance on the path of Krishna consciousness, when the soul becomes happy, then that excitement of the soul manifests physically on the physical plane as dance. So I love to dance. Then I became the temple president and started rendering service as a temple president in Hillbrow. But I was, you could say, one of the youngest devotees there. And there were many senior devotees in the temple who served there for many years. So it wasn't a right situation that as a young devotee, I'm like instructing them. So that became a challenge. And at that time, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj were both co-GBCs. So because of the challenging situation, I thought it's best that I step down and maybe one of the other senior devotees could take the lead. So there was a meeting held at the temple, and both His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj and Bhakti Charu Maharaj as GBCs were in the room, in the meeting. And I was there and I presented my case. And both of them as GBCs refused to accept my proposal. And they encouraged me to continue and, do not worry about the situation, just, just render your service and continue. So the meeting finished and His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj went to his room. Guru Maharaj went to the second room and called me in the meeting, in the room. So I went in. Guru Maharaj sat me down and immediately Guru Maharaj chastised me and he said, you are attached. You should step down. So I was wondering, hold on, but just Guru Maharaj, a few minutes ago, you said I must continue my service. And now immediately you're telling me that I should step down. I'm totally confused. So then Guru Maharaj explained. And this is a wonderful instruction, especially for leaders, and as disciples also, or followers, how to deal when we have a spiritual master who's also a managerial or spiritual leader, and spiritual leader. So Guru Maharaj was my spiritual master. So he was wearing the cap of a spiritual master, but he's also the GBC. So he has to wear the cap of a managerial leader in ISKCON. So as a GBC, the GBC should encourage the leaders to continue serving, which is what he did a few minutes ago. And then he wore the spiritual master cap now. So as a spiritual master cap, he was considering what's best for my spiritual life. And then he chastised me and said, you are attached, you should give up your post. So I said, okay, wonderful. So then we called another meeting up. Giriraj Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, again in the same meeting. And this time I present my case. And Bhakti Charu Guru Maharaj says, yeah, maybe we should accept his proposal. So then Giriraj Maharaj said, okay, yeah, maybe we should accept it. And this is how I stepped down. So that was an interesting lesson in terms of wearing two caps, because sometimes, just like Jagannathan Prabhu was mentioning, how sometimes difficult, to, as a doctor, to instruct Guru Maharaj. So he had to wear a doctor cap and a disciple cap. And that clarity has to be there, otherwise you can't instruct the spiritual master. So in this way also, as a temple president, I could have a different relationship with Guru Maharaj, and as a disciple, I would have a different relationship. So that was interesting experience. Guru Maharaj was in Cape Town, which is about 2 hours away from the temple we had in Johannesburg in Hillbrow. And we were preparing for Guru Maharaj's arrival at the Hillbrow temple. We were notified that Guru Maharaj would be arriving at 2 o'clock. So that morning, the devotees were busy preparing the room and setting up everything. And it was around 12 o'clock with the final preparations, and I get a phone call from the Cape Town temple. So I picked up the phone, and the devotee said, Guru Maharaj is on the flight. He'll be landing in about 35, 40 minutes, and it's 12 o'clock. And I'm thinking, but hold on, the devotees said that Guru Maharaj is coming at 2 o'clock. And he said, well, sorry, but Guru Maharaj is on the flight. And it's about, say, 40 minutes from the Hillbrow temple, normal speed. So, adrenaline running, in anxiety, got the devotees to start preparing everything, make sure everything is in order for Guru Maharaj's arrival. And we sped to the airport. We tried to drive safely and speedily to the airport. And when we arrived at the airport, Guru Maharaj was picking up his luggage, putting it into the trolley. And that's when we arrived. That means we were late. And my heart was racing because I knew, we were late. So Guru Maharaj did not say anything. I grabbed took the trolley, we brought Guru Maharaj into the car. We jumped into the car. Guru Maharaj didn't say anything. We came to the temple. Guru Maharaj went into the temple room, offered obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, offered obeisance to the deity, Shishinita Gohari. Then it's a 6-story building. So I opened the lift for Guru Maharaj to come in to go to the 6th floor where we had the sannyasi quarters. Guru Maharaj did not accept my invitation into the lift. He started taking the staircase up to the 6th floor. So it's like, really making it clear that that was a huge mistake. So we followed Guru Maharaj 6th floor up to came into the room. First thing Guru Maharaj says, why were you late? So I explained to Guru Maharaj, well, Guru Maharaj, we were expecting you at 2 o'clock. You arrived early. And Guru Maharaj said, who told you that I was arriving at 2 o'clock? So I said, Guru Maharaj, your servant. And that time the servant was also traveling with Guru Maharaj. So Guru Maharaj called the servant and gave his merciful chastisement to the servant. And Guru Maharaj was chastising the servant so heavily that I was shaking. And Guru Maharaj chastised the servant and says, you, my servant, you should have known. How could you give the wrong information? I don't want to see your face. And I'm totally terrified that Guru Maharaj is chastising. Guru Maharaj said this. So then the servant leaves. I also step back and leave the room. The servant is sitting there and wondering what to do now, because Guru Maharaj said doesn't want to see his face. And I also don't know what to do. So after about 15 minutes, I go back into the room and I apologize to Guru Maharaj that, Guru Maharaj, I'm very sorry that we picked you up late from the airport. And Guru Maharaj, his whole demeanor changed as the devotees were sharing that Guru Maharaj would get angry, and that was mainly to teach us. One time they asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, when you get angry with disciples, how should we deal with this, your chastisement? Prabhupada said you should be happy because somebody cares. You only chastise someone, you only get angry with someone when you care about them. So Guru Maharaj said that actually it's not your fault, it's not my servant's fault, it's actually my fault. And when Guru Maharaj said that, that even pained even more. He said, I should have called you directly. Now what's interesting is I noticed from that point onwards, every time Guru Maharaj would come to Joburg, to Lenasia, to Midrand, he would call. And I noticed also when he would leave, he would make it his duty to call the temple or call the devotee on where he's arriving and tell them that this is my flight, this is when I'm arriving. So it was interesting how Guru Maharaj, even though it was our fault, but Guru Maharaj felt it was his responsibility to actually make sure that he's picked up on time. So that was a very, very wonderful lesson. And since then, we made a point to call the temple, verify, double check, and make sure that we're 30 minutes at the airport earlier. In fact, I think I have one of my slides that I called my favorite service. So my favorite service was to pick up Guru Maharaj from the airport. We would go 30 minutes early and we would have kirtan, because that was an excuse to have kirtan in the airport, because otherwise you can't just have kirtan in the airport. So that's an excuse to have kirtan, and the officials wouldn't mind, and we would have kirtan for 30 minutes, and then we would receive Guru Maharaj with kirtan, and he would then embrace all the devotees. So that was one of my favorite services, and most dearly missed now that Guru Maharaj is not physically with us. Another time, because I'm left-handed, so I have a habit of using my left hand, because I'm left-handed. So one time Guru Maharaj asked for a pen. So I went into the room with the pen, and it so happened that I used my left hand to give Guru Maharaj the pen. And Guru Maharaj immediately looked at me and says, never use your left hand, give with your right hand. So I immediately moved the pen to my right hand and handed the pen with my right hand. So another instruction from Guru Maharaj, use your right hand when giving. This picture is in the Hillbrow Temple. We were serving there. My wife and myself were serving at one time as restaurant managers, so we were cooking. And Guru Maharaj would often cook. Guru Maharaj is cooking noodles. And one time I was in the restaurant, so Guru Maharaj came in and he said, I'll show you how to make roshti and pizza, chutney, and bases. So Guru Maharaj personally showed us how to make the pizza chutney and the bases. And since then, we were using Guru Maharaj's recipe in the restaurant. And also when we moved to the Nasia temple, where the current deities are, then as fundraising, we started selling pizzas at a shopping mall. And it became a grand success. And it was Guru Maharaj's recipe, both the base and the chutney, and became a grand success. And the following year at Durban Rath Yatra, we asked the management if we could come and also do the pizza stand. So we started the pizza stand in the Rath Yatra, and that was a grand success, such a grand success that the following year they decided, no, we won't want you, we'll continue, so at least the funds can come to the Durban temple, which was wonderful. So by Guru Maharaj's mercy, we were able to start the pizza sales. So I explained about my favorite service. Very often when Guru Maharaj would come to Lenasia at Harinamanam Prabhu's place, Mother Bhagavati's place, during lunch, Guru Maharaj would invite the devotees to come and honor prasad with him. This was Guru Maharaj's way to also honor and serve the devotees. So we were sitting with Guru Maharaj, and Mother Bhagavati had made a famous biscuit home. It's a shop biscuit, but she made it at home, and she also called it the same name, called Itsamo. So Guru Maharaj had the biscuit, and he was very happy with the biscuit. So after Guru Maharaj honored prasad, sitting at a table, called Mother Bhagavati and asked Mother Bhagavati, what is that biscuit? So she said, it's a more, Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj said, no, what is that biscuit? I said, no, it's a more, Guru Maharaj. And I knew that that biscuit is called it's a more. And I'm trying to hold my laughter. And Guru Maharaj is serious. He's, no, I want to know, what is that biscuit? And she's saying, honestly, Guru Maharaj, it's a more. So then I said, Guru Maharaj, that's the name of the biscuit. And Guru Maharaj started laughing. It was like, you had a hearty laugh. Guru Maharaj started laughing. And we all started laughing with Guru Maharaj. Because that was the name of the biscuit, it's a more. And Guru Maharaj is thinking, she's telling Guru Maharaj, it's a more, because Guru Maharaj didn't want to eat more. He just wanted the name of the biscuit. So there was a very wonderful experience, it's a more. So this is the ISKCON Midrand temple, and the picture of it. Wonderful, wonderful property. And it was one of the services that we took up to preach or to set up a preaching center in the middle of Gauteng to attract newcomers. So the environment was wonderful in terms of the mode of goodness to attract newcomers. And this property cost 2.6 million. Sorry, 6.2 million. So we raised quite a bit of the funds, and we had 3 donors that had come forward to support us. So it was a Thursday that we had to sign the sale agreement for this property. And the week before, one of the donors informed us that they're considering not to give, for whatever reason, not to give us the 1 million, but they'll only confirm that on the Monday. So we said, okay, let us know on Monday. At least we got a few days to see if we could make some arrangement and come up with the additional shortfall. So Monday came. That was the same week that we had to now sign. The Thursday we had to sign the agreement. So Monday came. They didn't inform us. So then it was Wednesday, the night before we had to sign the agreement. And at 4 o'clock, they called us to have a meeting. So 4 o'clock, we go for the meeting, and they tell us, well, we're considering not to, give you the 1 million. And I was, at that time, I was thinking, well, tomorrow I have to sign the agreement. So I'm thinking, does Krishna want us to have this property or not? Because it's practically, I need to raise 1 million overnight. And that's going to be impossible. So they gave the news, they left, and I'm thinking what to do. So then I said, well, might as well try. And, you know, as Guru Maharaj would always say, you try your best and leave the rest to Krishna. So then I phoned Guru Gauranga Prabhu for his advice and asked him, this is the situation. I told him, this is the situation. You know, what's your suggestion? You know, can you assist? So he said, no, speak to Guru Maharaj. And because Guru Maharaj was raising funds also for the Panihati temple, there are some funds there that Guru Maharaj could outlay. And I did inform Guru Maharaj, or I did inform Guru Gauranga that, you know, we have a devotee who will give his house as collateral, so that, you know, if something happens, we have collateral for the funds. So then I phoned Guru Maharaj, and in fact, yeah, I spoke to Guru Maharaj and, you know, explained to Guru Maharaj, this is the situation, and we need, you know, 1 million rands. Otherwise, we will not be able to sign the agreement. And Guru Maharaj didn't hesitate. Immediately he said, yeah, sure. I'll speak to Hemanga Chaitanya Prabhu, get the 1 million rand that is meant for Panihati. You can use that, purchase the property, and pay me in 6 months so that we can use the funds for the Panihati temple. And this is how we basically signed the agreement next day, and we got the property, and we started preaching. And we were able to also return Guru Maharaj's funds that he had collected for the Panihati temple, which they also then opened up. So it was by the mercy of Guru Maharaj that we were able to get this preaching center. And Guru Maharaj was very happy with the preaching. In fact, I had written him a letter. And in this letter, Guru Maharaj explained some of the qualities that he was pleased with. So he says, thank you very much for your email, and was very happy to receive it. From your report, I can see how sincerely you are practicing Krishna consciousness. This is indeed exemplary. I had always been very impressed with your commitment, dedication, and enthusiasm. But now, after reading your report, I feel even more impressed. Please continue in this way. Krishna will be pleased, and the result will be there. It is due to your sincere preaching of inspired devotees like yourself that this movement will spread. I wish you all the best. Yours in the service of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami. So here we see Guru Maharaj was looking for these qualities which he himself embodied: commitment, dedication, enthusiasm. Guru Maharaj exemplified these qualities, and these same qualities would allow us to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. This program was in the Madrian Hall, our first Radha Astami program. We invited Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj came, and it was a public program, and Guru Maharaj was, you can see here, he offered obeisance to the deities, and immediately gave me a loving embrace, because he was very, very happy that we were trying our best to expand Krishna consciousness. And by his mercy, we were successful. And Guru Maharaj often would reciprocate like this with his loving embrace. Guru Maharaj in Vrindavan. This is a little long story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. We would often go to Vrindavan to study, 6 months duration, and it would be during the hot summer seasons. And during 1 year, while we were there in Vrindavan, I contracted jaundice. And we didn't want to leave to either, or going to the hospital either in Delhi or Mathura to drain out all the bile. When jaundice is a disease of the liver, and your skin starts to become yellow because the bile starts to come out through your pores, your eyes become yellow. So one devotee suggested that we go see a Vrijbasi called Shamsaki, and he would extract the bile with mantra. So we thought, okay, that's interesting. So we went into Vrindavan village with the rickshaw, and we came into the environment. The temple, it was a house, courtyard, and there was an altar, curtains were closed, he was doing his puja. And in the center of the courtyard, on one side, there was a tap, and there was a jug, stainless steel jug, and there were mango barks, pieces of mango bark. So, we looked at opened the water, looked at it, looked at the mango barks, nothing's strange. So after he finished, he put me in the center of the courtyard with my gamsha, took a jug of water, gave me a mango bark, and told me to lightly rub my skin while he pours water. And as he was pouring the water was clear, and while it fell on me, washed the skin, and it was colored yellow, which means it was practically pulling the bile by chanting certain mantras. And we, my wife was there, we were surprised. Wow, this is far out. So the next day we went out, we had to do it a few times, like 2 weeks. So the second day we went, this time we went, opened the tap just to see if it's, clear color, not yellow. We looked at the bark, washed it, see if it wasn't yellow. The silver container wasn't yellow, so there was no coloring. And naturally poured out clear water, same thing happened. So after a few days, I spoke to him and I said, can you explain what he's doing? And he mentioned that, well, he's chanting a mantra, and there are different mantras in the Vedas, and he's able to chant a mantra to remove the bile from your skin and then use water to wash. And the bark is just there so that bile don't get stuck into your skin. So it's some roughage just to cleanse the skin. And he said, I've got other mantras to remove cholera, to remove other diseases. So we thought, wow, that's far out. And then I asked him, are you able to teach me the mantras? So he said, sure. So I was very happy. So he set a date and time for giving me these mantras so that I could, do the same thing. That day that he set for us to be initiated, or for me to be initiated into receiving these mantras, was the same day Guru Maharaj arrived in Vrindavan. And Guru Maharaj arrived in Vrindavan, and during that time when I was meant to be getting these mantras, Guru Maharaj was busy giving a class. So I thought, okay, looks like Guru Maharaj is here. Krishna doesn't want me to get those mantras. And Guru Maharaj was talking about the Hare Krishna mantra. And the realization was that by the mercy of Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, we have the Hare Krishna mantra. So I don't need a mantra to remove bile or cholera. I have the greatest mantra that can remove all the impurities from the heart. What to talk about all the insignificant diseases of the body. So that situation or incident gave me great faith. And we know that Guru Maharaj had firm faith in the holy name. Guru Maharaj would get up very early in the morning, sometimes, most often 2 o'clock, and complete his chanting. So Guru Maharaj had firm faith, and that firm faith was also that a drop of that faith was rubbed off on me, and I also started gaining faith in the holy name. I started also doing some research on the impact of the holy name. And the next 2 slides, I'll share some experiments that I did to scientifically prove the impact of chanting Hare Krishna. So I used a scientific machine, which is called a skewer machine. And here you'll see what I did was I scanned my body before chanting, and then after 5 minutes of chanting kirtan, fairly focused, clapping and chanting, I told the person to scan again, and then we see the before and after. So here you see, before my chanting of Hare Krishna, you can see my chakras are not aligned in all different sizes. After 5 minutes of chanting, you can see that the chakras are fairly aligned and approximately the same size. Srila Prabhupada says that just by engaging in kirtan, all the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, the benefits of the Ashtanga Yoga process is already there in kirtan. So this was also one way to prove that point, that just by, and that was only 5 minutes of kirtan, it would impact your chakras, which yogis take many, many, many years to improve. Here we can see, this is before my chanting, my aura, and you can see some bluish marks like negative energy. 5 minutes of chanting, you can see the drastic change in terms of the aura, far more effulgent. Can even see how this subtle form expands brilliant light. So this is how the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj is giving us the holy name and showing us and having great faith that this is the impact of the holy name just on the material sphere. No doubt on the spiritual sphere, giving us a direct connection to Krishna. During a darshan program, one devotee came and he asked Guru Maharaj, he had a question regarding Nirjala Ekadasi. And he explained that, during different, like devotees have different standards of Nirjal in terms of, fasting, and also for Janmashtami. During any festival, Vishnu Tattva appearance, we only have Ekadasi Prasad. And this was, the practice that we had. So when he asked, and he said, some devotees have a different opinion, what should we do? So Guru Maharaj gave a wonderful response. Guru Maharaj said that if you, how long do you want to stay in kindergarten? Meaning that when we come to spiritual life, we don't want to stay in kindergarten, we want to grow into higher levels of devotion. So in kindergarten, yes, there may be, reduced standards for newcomers, but as we develop in spiritual life, then we also want to grow and embrace a higher standard of practice. And Guru Maharaj also one time explained that the reason we observe grain, only have non-grain during, let's say, Janmashtami or any of the Vishnu Tattva festivals is because the festival is the whole day. The titi is for the whole day. So we want to observe it for the whole day. And we observe it for the whole day by observing a non-grain fast, and we only break with grain on the following or the next day. It was a Krishna Janmashtami festival in Indonesia. Guru Maharaj was the guest of honor. And outside there was a tent with a stage set up, and the crowd was there in the tent. There was also a Abhishek happening in the temple room. So Guru Maharaj arrives at the temple, and immediately the first thing that catches his ears is the MC who's emceeing the program in the main tent was, making some jokes that were not Krishna conscious at all. So Guru Maharaj heard that, and he looked at me, and I got when he looked at me and didn't say anything, and I could understand because I also heard, that he's making these jokes during a spiritual festival. not Krishna conscious. So I got, okay, I said, Guru Maharaj is definitely not happy. So then Guru Maharaj goes upstairs and the Abhishek is there. So the Abhishek goes on and on. And for about 10, 15 minutes, Guru Maharaj is standing there and Guru Maharaj says, let's go. And Guru Maharaj turns and leaves the temple. And I'm following. So then the managers come and say, where's Maharaj going? Well, Maharaj is going, and I think one devotee said this photo was taken in Mauritius. So yeah, they say, well, Guru Maharaj is not happy, he's leaving. So they didn't know why Guru Maharaj was leaving. And actually they had to continue with the festival. So the next morning, the leaders went to Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj explained, firstly, that he was not upset. He was upset that with the stage program, we should be presenting Krishna consciousness and not anything else. But with the Abhishek, Guru Maharaj said that, how long do you take for a bath? 10, 15 minutes, that's it. You don't, keep there for 1 hour under the shower. So why are you keeping Krishna 1 hour, bathing for 1 hour? It's not proper. It's not appropriate. So that's how Guru Maharaj taught us this lesson. Because sometimes, we have this habit of, just bathing the Lord constantly just because, people are there and people like it. But Krishna is a person. He's not just a stone or deity. And just as a person, we would treat a person in a certain way, so we treat the Supreme Lord in that same way. Another pastime in relation to Shishinitai Gohari was Guru Maharaj was invited by a family, and they wanted to see Guru Maharaj. So Guru Maharaj went there, and while they were speaking to Guru Maharaj, they mentioned to Guru Maharaj that the devotee, the wife of the family, or the mother of the family, she said that she makes fresh yogurt, makhan, Gujarati, they call it makhan, butter. And she wanted to offer this fresh makhan to the deities. But because she was not initiated, she couldn't offer the makhan. And when she told Guru Maharaj this, Guru Maharaj said, no, you can come and you can offer the makhan to the deities. So when Guru Maharaj said that, what impressed me was, that he could see that here is someone, a devotee of the Lord, who's not formally initiated, but with great love and sentiment, she's making this makhan, homemade makhan, butter, and she wanted to offer this to the deities. And Guru Maharaj said that we should allow that. Even though they made, the formality of initiation, etc., may not be there, but that love and that sentiment of offering loving devotion, that is the key ingredient. And because it's not grain, then we should allow that. Another pastime which was very instructive was grab the mercy. Shamla Prabhu was there with Guru Maharaj, and a very dear friend of Guru Maharaj, also a wonderful servant of Srila Prabhupada, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So they were at the Lanesia temple, and one devotee had brought a garland to garland Shamla Prabhu. So Guru Maharaj was, there, and he was on the Vyasasan. He was, busy speaking, and one devotee brought the garland. And instead of offering the garland to Shamla Prabhu, he offered the garland to another devotee to offer. And Guru Maharaj stopped, and he said, no. He said, when you have the opportunity to grab the mercy, you should grab it. Because this devotee had the garland and he could have got the mercy, so he could have gone and offered the garland, but he gave the garland to someone else to offer, and Guru Maharaj said, no, never do that. Whenever you have the opportunity to grab the mercy, you grab it. So that was also a wonderful instruction. One practice that Guru Maharaj had was every time Guru Maharaj would come to the temple, we had to have a garland for Guru Maharaj to offer to Srila Prabhupada. It was a must. So every time Guru Maharaj would come, whenever he's traveling and he comes to a temple, Guru Maharaj had to have a garland to offer to Srila Prabhupada. Picnic in the park. Srila Prabhupada came to South Africa, came to Johannesburg in October 1975. And while Srila Prabhupada was staying in Yeovil, there was a park near Yeovil, Bezuidenhof Park, and Srila Prabhupada would go there for morning walk. So the devotees, when Guru Maharaj was in South Africa, in Gauteng, the devotees decided to arrange a picnic at the same park where Srila Prabhupada walked. So picnic was arranged, the whole yatra came, and Guru Maharaj was meant to give the talk. So Guru Maharaj was there, everyone is sitting, and Guru Maharaj started speaking. So Guru Maharaj said, what's the use of a picnic? Instead, we should be doing some service for Srila Prabhupada. And then Guru Maharaj started asking all the devotees to think of what service they would like to render for Srila Prabhupada's mission. So this was also very instructive. Not that Guru Maharaj never had picnics. In fact, sometimes when we would take Guru Maharaj to the airport, Guru Maharaj would have his lunch while we would leave the temple, and the airport was about, say, 40 minutes away. So 5-10 minutes before the airport, Guru Maharaj would say, find a nice park. We would go to the park, we would lay all the prasad down. Guru Maharaj would sit out in this open sky. We would serve Guru Maharaj prasad like a picnic, and then we would leave to the airport. So Guru Maharaj would like to do that. But on this specific occasion, Guru Maharaj started instructing us that we should really do something tangible for Srila Prabhupada's mission. And every single one of us should have some project, some service, some devotional activity that we can constantly be conscious of and be able to render in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And we see Guru Maharaj himself was exemplary in taking on such humongous projects for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj would take on projects for Srila Prabhupada that was even outside his ashram. In one lecture, Guru Maharaj explains that for preaching, we need funds. And because he saw that the Grihasthas were not coming together to set up a financial base, he felt that it was his duty also to get involved and do that. So he would take on different projects which a sannyasi ordinarily would not take on. But to set an example and for the preaching mission, Guru Maharaj would do and go out of his way to serve Srila Prabhupada. So that was a very, very wonderful example. Another time, I drove Guru Maharaj to a preaching center in Auckland, center of Johannesburg. And so I was basically I was driving Guru Maharaj, and I drove Guru Maharaj to the preaching center. Guru Maharaj led the kirtan, gave the talk, and after Guru Maharaj spoke, at the end of the talk, Guru Maharaj looked at me and said, so there's prasad. So I came with Guru Maharaj, I drove Guru Maharaj, but he, so I'm like a guest. So he looked at me and he said, is there prasad? So I looked at, the devotees that were there managing, and I said, is there prasad? And they said, no. There was, in fact, somebody had cooked and there was some issue with the prasad. So that was a different saga. But the response was, there was no prasad. And Guru Maharaj, looking straight at me, gave me the sauce and chastised me. And Guru Maharaj said, why didn't you tell me that there's no prasad? If you had told me that there was no prasad, I would have gone personally into the kitchen and cooked for the guest. So Guru Maharaj is chastising me, and I'm thinking, but I'm a guest also. I just drove you. Guru Maharaj, like, I didn't know that there's no prasad. I'm driving you. Yes, and I'm keeping quiet. But I realized that Guru Maharaj is chastising me, just like Prabhupada says, the mother would chastise the daughter to teach the daughter-in-law. So Guru Maharaj was chastising me, really giving the lesson that prasadam for the guest is a must. And Guru Maharaj went to the extent to say, if he knew that, he would have gone personally, and no doubt Guru Maharaj would have gone into the kitchen and have cooked for the guest. So that lesson was also very, very instructive. And as a leader in the temples, I would always make sure that there was prasad. Even if in that situation, if you had to, for example, cut fruit or quickly cook some halva, at least there would be prasad, because Prabhupada wanted that. We know that wonderful pastime of Hari Sauri Prabhu. His parents came to visit, and it was just after the Sunday program, so the feast was finished. He took the family, showed them the temple, and just as they were about to leave, Srila Prabhupada was arriving. So they got a glimpse. And when Prabhupada arrived, he told Srila Prabhupada, oh, that was his family, and they came to see the temple. And Prabhupada, the first question Prabhupada asked him was, did they take prasad? Did they get prasad? And Hari Sauri Prabhu said, well, Prabhupada, sorry, there was no prasadam. And Prabhupada's response was, then what's the use? So Prabhupada made it very, very clear that anyone that comes to the temple should get prasad. And Guru Maharaj was very, very particular about that. Complete your 16 rounds and go preach. This was in Mayapur, and it's the last few slides. So in Mayapur, we were there attending for Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, and we know that Guru Maharaj has Srila Prabhupada's memorial program in the morning. He released one of the serials of Abhay Charan, was very attentive to serving the guest prasad, and then later around 6 o'clock, Guru Maharaj would have his Vyasa Puja. So around 6 o'clock, the devotees started coming in. And the first thing Guru Maharaj asked was, how many of you have not completed your 16 rounds? And there were quite a few devotees that had picked their hands up. And that just changed the mood. Guru Maharaj was furious. He said, then what's the use of Vyasa Puja? Go and complete your 16 rounds. And Guru Maharaj went on explaining about the importance of chanting 16 rounds. And he said, I don't want your offerings. I don't want this. You should chant your 16 rounds and go preach. So Guru Maharaj was very, very emphatic about this point of chanting 16 rounds. Srila Prabhupada said the most essential instruction of the spiritual master is completing one's minimum 16 rounds. So that's very, very important. 2 weeks before Guru Maharaj left India for America, before he unmanifested his pastimes, physical pastimes on the planet, he called, phoned me, and Guru Maharaj encouraged me with continuing with Chaitanya Life Academy, because my idea was to set up an academy, especially to attract new people to Krishna consciousness. So Guru Maharaj spoke to me and encouraged me, and that was the last physical contact with him in his physical presence that I had. And that brings us to the end of this small session glorifying Guru Maharaj, whose qualities are unlimited, and a very special son of Srila Prabhupada. We are blessed to be connected to Srila Prabhupada via Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj always made this point that his duty is simply to bring us to Srila Prabhupada. And for me, Guru Maharaj's disappearance has really brought me closer to Guru Maharaj than when Guru Maharaj was actually physically present, which is strange but true. Because now that Guru Maharaj is not physically present, we find that I'm able to hear Guru Maharaj's glories far more now than before. We're getting so much more nectar now than before. And that means that our relationship is becoming stronger and stronger. And Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada always emphasize that more important than Vapu is Vani. When Vapu is present, physical form is present, we should always grab the opportunity to serve. But most important is Vani. And those disciples who follow the Vani of the spiritual master live with the spiritual master, and the spiritual master is always there. And just as Guru Maharaj would always give the example of how when one is close to the mountain, one can't recognize the magnitude of the mountain. But as one moves further and further away, one can actually see the magnitude of the mountain. So Guru Maharaj used this in relation to Srila Prabhupada, that as time progresses, we will recognize more and more and more the magnanimity, the glory of Srila Prabhupada. Similarly, like that, with Guru Maharaj also, we see over time, we can appreciate Guru Maharaj's contribution to Srila Prabhupada's mission. So thank you very much for the devotees. I'll stop my slide and take any questions if there are. Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Jai.
Thank you, Nrsimhananda Prabhu. That's a wonderful presentation and some really beautiful pictures that you have there in the slideshow. Well, I mean, I'm kind of spellbound. There's a lot of content as well to take and digest. So I would invite, questions from devotees. Any questions that they have, please come forward.
You can unmute yourself as well.
So this is an opportunity to grab the mercy, as Prabhu said. So don't feel shy. Okay, I'll kick off with one if I may. You mentioned in one of your slides was, grab the mercy, in fact. And you gave the example of a devotee who was about to garland Shamla Prabhu. And he kind of stopped and gave the garland to somebody else, and Guru Maharaj stopped him. Sometimes, you often see this. And sometimes, I guess my thinking was, well, we want to offer the opportunity to maybe somebody junior to get the mercy, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
We might think, well, we're always getting the mercy. Let me engage somebody else. What would be your thinking behind that?
Yeah, true. And especially as a leader, you want to engage others, right? And therefore, that's inspiring for for those that you give opportunity to serve.
Yep.
So that's definitely there. And the way I interpreted this pastime was that Guru Maharaj was able to detect, right, the heart of that person, let's say, who's giving. So it wasn't necessarily that he was trying to engage someone else to give mercy. His attitude was, okay, yeah, you can offer it.
Okay.
And Guru Maharaj detected, and therefore Guru Maharaj said, no, you should grab the mercy, because we all need the mercy. But yes, as a leader, it's inspiring to engage others.
Yeah.
In fact, Giraj Maharaj was also the GBC at that time when I was the temple president. In fact, I was a temple commander at the time. So we were arranging a program. And naturally, as a temple commander, is like you're doing everything and you're running around and setting up. So Giraj Maharaj came for the program and he went to the room. And he said, so is everything ready? And I said, Maharaj, I'm still busy, final touches. So then Maharaj gave me the example that Prabhupada gave him. And he said, it's better to engage 6 S's than work like an S. Right? So implying that, I should engage other devotees also, give them the mercy, extend the mercy, right? Instead of working and saying, well, nobody wants to do the service. Right? So it's Sankirtan, congregational service. So a leader also has to be expert in delegating and inspiring and encouraging to engage others. That's an important quality of a leader.
A leader, yeah. Well, thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to maybe kind of ask some devotees if they have some questions. I understand Shunjay Prabhu from Mauritius, you're online. Would you kind of care to share or ask a question?
Yeah, it was not a
Sorry to
question.
put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it was not really a question, but it was like Prabhu was just sharing some photos, and what was the photo was if I just say Guru Maharaj was walking. That was photo we took in 2011, and Guru Maharaj was walking by the sea, and it was at Palmo in the Eastern Beach, and it was a morning walk that Guru Maharaj was there, and just after that we gave him massage and everything. So, and thank you very much, Prabhu, uh, for for that so beautiful the nectarian messages that you have been just delivering. It's so inspiring. It just remind me of this so many anecdotes of Prabhupada's anecdotes that it's written in the red book. Maybe everyone, we could make it like that, the small anecdotes, and just have it printed in books, the small books. I was just remembering the anecdotes. There's a red book, I think, for Prabhupada. So maybe we can have it something like a collection of that, of small anecdotes of Guru Maharaj. And as Guru Maharaj also, he mentioned, Guru Maharaj mentioned when, and you took the right example of what Guru Maharaj said. When you getting a bit further from the mountains, then you can get a real glimpse of the mountain. And it's like, for me personally, it's not like boasting. I'm not boasting myself, but up to now, I never think that Guru Maharaj has leave us. I'm still feeling connected to Guru Maharaj, and it's not a moment that I feel that Guru Maharaj is not with us, but still sometimes it becomes so lamentable, so deep. And 2 days back, one of our God sisters just sent a personal WhatsApp message to Guru Maharaj, how are you doing? I just can feel that, Mataji, what's happened? But I just greeted her and said, and my heart says that she's crying. And I said, okay, tears are coming. Oh, I'm feeling just separate from Guru Maharaj. and feeling so. So I said, no, don't feel like that. Guru Maharaj is with us. And she said, nice, something this evening, tonight, and Istagosti, just to pull everyone together. And because of the 2 years, pandemic, and we were not meeting, we were having Zoom meeting. We had a very nice Vyas Puja. And I was just proposing, let's have a meeting now in person. I just
I think
or
your
have a
connection is
picnic together, because we
your
should be
connection is
connected, feel connected. Yeah. So it's okay now. So I think we should feel connected, maybe a small group, but we have to be, caring with each other. Because one of our God brother was telling us that some days will come, we are like becoming the extinct dodo. Dodo is a bird that
yeah,
extinct
that's
from
bad.
Mauritius.
Yeah.
So we, the disciples of Bhakti Charu Swami, will be like the dodo, because we are going to extinct one day. And I was just deeply thinking one thing, Prabhuji, that I wanted to share, that is of Guru Maharaj. What will happen? Um, it's good that we have set up the fund of for the samadhi. I was thinking, like, when our generation will go, when our generation will leave, so there will be the fund for the samadhi. And they are like the disciples of the gurus that we have, like they have left, like Mahavishnu Maharaj and others have left. So with this, fading out, and the new generation or the generation comes will not be able to, hear or listen to that. And that's my fear. I was just thinking, like, it's good that we have set up the fund, even in Mayapur and Guru Maharaj, the samadhi will be taken care of.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
absolutely.
think I wishing
Mm.
I think we should have an update also what's going on there, who is taking care of.
Okay.
Even we have set up the fun also over there. So who is going to cook? Who's going to serve Guru Maharaj? Even the generation, the disciples will not be here. I'm
Mm.
very sad. I'm very sad to say that I've heard, but I don't know whether it was true, that it was one of the appearance, the Vyas Puja of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and nothing was offered over there, the Samadhi. So I
Well,
don't want
okay.
this,
No,
these
I
things happen.
appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, Shinjay Prabhu, and
You know,
your
sorry, I'm
concerns.
sorry, I'm just maybe
No, no,
tracking
no,
off,
no, no, no,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah,
tracking
yeah,
off. No, no.
your
So
concerns are
maybe the
valid.
fun
Oh, the
the fun will
connections.
be there. The fun will be there, but who will? So I'm just saying that the funds may be there. Who will ensure that everything will go on nicely? So my only
Oh, sure.
apprehension was that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
thank you.
thank you,
Your
thank
work
you,
is
thank you.
communicated. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? If I'm okay, I'm gonna go still grab the mercy while I can. So there's a number of, yeah, offering butter to the deities, and that was an interesting pastime, because I mean, in Durban, yes, when I was in Durban, Guru Maharaj decided to cook, as he would often do, and he cooked noodles, and he was cooking noodles in the deity kitchen. I'm still new. I was new then as well, and he said to me, he instructed me and said, "Oh, this bowl, make sure it's offered to the deities, right?" And but the pujaris were like kind of hesitant, right? Because I suppose noodles is some of the ingredients are outside, from, like that. And so I said, well, this what Guru Maharaj just cooked himself, right? And so I think, it should be offered, right? So then anyway, they did offer it as part of the Raj Bhog offering, right? Those noodles were offered. And so it was just a small incident. I kind of, it brought to my mind, right? Sometimes when you hear these things and something will just click in the subconscious and you think, oh yeah, I remember something like that as well. One question I have was, you mentioned three things.
Before you share a question in relation to that same point. So I think it was Pankaj Prabhu or Jananives Prabhu, they were asked that question. Because in Mayapur, many people come and they'll come with things from the shop to offer to the deities.
Yes.
And he asked that question, what should the pujari do? Because there may be things that are not offerable. Right? People buy from the shop, it's packaged, you don't know what it's called, it's cooked, and they come in and they offer it. And in the early days, Prabhupada taught everyone to bring whatever they want to offer to the deities.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
Come to the temple or something.
Yeah, they would bring new, in the early days, they would bring their new clothes to offer to the deities also. So Jananives Prabhu said that either Pankajam Prabhu or Jananives Prabhu, one of them said that as pujaris, it's not their duty to discriminate between what Krishna will accept or not. Their service is simply to offer it. And it's up to the Lord to decide he won't accept or will accept.
Okay. No, that's
so that was an interesting response, right? Who am I? If Krishna wants to accept, he'll accept, and he can accept anything. He can even consume forest fire.
Yes.
So Krishna can eat anything. But there may be a situation where somebody has cooked with so much love and devotion that Krishna wants to eat, and you as I'm a pujari now, right?
Yes, getting in the way.
That and stop that you're in the way.
Yeah.
So therefore it's safer.
No, that's very instructive. No, thank you. You in that letter that Guru Maharaj wrote to you, you pulled out three things: commitment, dedication, and enthusiasm. Right. Here's my question. So it's often difficult with competing priorities in life, and how to as you mentioned, Guru Maharaj exemplified these things, right, throughout his life, right? And at least I find, I go through peaks and troughs. There'll be times when I'm enthusiastic, and most of the time I'm not so enthusiastic. How to sort of achieve a balance, right, when you're also trying to juggle other things as well.
So when devotees generally ask me this question about balancing, my response is there's no balance.
Okay.
And we should not be balancing. In the sense that most people's understanding is I have my material duties and I have my spiritual duties, and how do I balance? But we have only spiritual duties. And one of my spiritual duties is that I have an occupation where I work to raise some funds to support my spiritual family and spiritual service, which means that even my occupation is not material. And therefore, I don't need balancing. My work is actually spiritual. And Prabhupada makes a statement like that also in the Bhagavad Gita, that when we see our occupation as connected to Krishna, then it becomes spiritualized. It is no more a mundane occupation, and you will not experience it like a mundane occupation. Similarly, raising a family is not a mundane occupation because your family are devotees.
Yes, indeed. No, thank you.
So that way, there's no question of balancing.
Okay,
and
no, that's good.
And when I do that, then it's not like I'm going through a seesaw.
Right.
I can be enthusiastic about my work. I can be enthusiastic about my family. I can be enthusiastic about my studies, and I can be enthusiastic about my service to Krishna. And we see Arjuna was a classic example. Prabhupada made it very clear he didn't have a beat bag chanting his rounds. He was a Kshatriya, but he was a friend of Krishna, completely Krishna conscious. So that would be my response.
Okay.
What?
Thank you.
In one sense, there is no need to balance.
There is no
no need to
balance.
Krishna is the center of everything. Then then our dedication, our enthusiasm, and commitment, right, revolves around Krishna being in the center.
Okay. And okay, maybe if I counter that a little bit, because of course,
please.
if you could get involved, I mean, I could get involved with my work if I see my work as service, as you're suggesting, and I could spend 10, 12 hours a day just in my work, and of course, because there's only 24 hours in the day, of course, I'm neglecting spending time with the family. Right. So there's that dichotomy possibly.
Yep, and that may be there. If one, depending on, and I guess this is specific to individual to each devotee, right? Each devotee will go through a different scenario and different situation. For example, if I'm starting a business, I may be spending more time away from family because I'm starting a business, but it's not long term. Okay. It's not ever. And therefore, there's understanding from the family side that no, you should give more time because you're starting a business. So it's not a fault, but it's something that one has to do at that specific time so that the situation becomes better going forward. So I think that's more about understanding with the family. And yes, we should be, in that sense, making sure that we don't become derailed completely, but always, in the 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the example is given of riding a horse. When you ride a horse, you don't pull the reins completely, but you let loose the reins. So the horses will go a little to the left, you pull it back. It'll go to the right, you pull it back. Okay. Right? So you allow the horses to go in the direction they want, but you always bring it back. So like that, we keep going and we always bring ourselves back onto the path. In that way, we can maneuver and progress.
Wonderful answer. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any other devotees who are kind of taking advantage of it, maybe? Any other devotees who would care to ask a question, or should I pick somebody? Are you okay for time, Nrsimhananda Prabhu?
They're all satisfied.
They're all satisfied. Okay, I'm going to. Okay, maybe beautiful. There's a comment. Beautiful memories. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, one question I have. You mentioned, I mean, obviously you had a lot of direct personal association with Guru Maharaj in the capacity of servant in all sorts of ways. But at the end, you kind of pointedly said that you feel closer to Guru Maharaj now that he's physically absent than when he was physically with us. Now, that's something I've been struggling with a lot myself, and I'm sure maybe other devotees on listening possibly as well. Could you unpack that a little bit for us, for me? Because that, for me at least, and I'm sure for yourself, that physical presence was almost 10%. It was like, yeah, that's the thing that kind of fed my devotional service, right? And like just getting, Guru Maharaj would phone me quite often, and I would be sort of like massaged, and I had kind of quite sort of close physical services like that. And then, of course, which is all obviously reliant on the physical presence of the spiritual master. And when that physical presence is not there, I feel it is very difficult, right? But you was kind of presented quite the opposite. So I was kind of, very interested to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah. So it's true that you would experience that separation and miss that separation. And especially, for those servants that Guru Maharaj was very close to in terms of personal service and also in terms of the mission where Guru Maharaj would call regularly, we miss, right? Even I miss that phone call when I pick up the phone, right? And Hare Krishna, and this is Bhakti Charu Maharaj. It's like, oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj is like, you get excited, right? So you miss that, no doubt. And the personal servants and those who are close to Guru Maharaj would, in terms of that association, would miss that even more. And that's spiritually healthy, to cry for that association, to cry and lament for that meeting again. So that's spiritually healthy. Now, as we mentioned, the spiritual master manifests in two features, Vani and Vapu, right? Or Vapu and Vani. So because the spiritual master manifests in two features, we also want to connect with the spiritual master in two features. And that is why his association is important and his Vani is important. And more important than the Vapu is the Vani, because the Vapu will not be always there. And Prabhupada himself warned his disciples that I won't be always here, but my Vani will always be there. Now the secret is, let me now connect with the Vani, the instruction of the spiritual master. And yes, in the beginning, you're going to feel that separation. And it may be more intense more and less intense for different devotees. But we have to lean towards the Vani. Now we have to take that instructions that we've received and make it our heart and soul. The more we do that, you will find that it starts to heal our missing of the physical form of the spiritual master. Now that means we need to advance, and that is why we're given this opportunity to now serve in separation, right? And Guru Maharaj himself gave his own example that when Prabhupada left, he didn't know what to do. In fact, he just decided to walk and leave, keep walking until he left, right? So he also felt that same separation and like lost. And then it dawned upon him that yes, his mission, Prabhupada's mission is not different from him. His instruction is not different from him. So by serving the mission, by serving Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, by serving Srila Prabhupada's instruction, you with Srila Prabhupada. And I like to give one nice example of one Prabhupada disciple who also heard this, that Prabhupada himself said, the best of my association is in my books. Prabhupada's purports were his personal ecstasies. So Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports is non-different from Srila Prabhupada. And if you read his purports, you associate with Prabhupada. And this devotee, heard that, he read that, but it's like, yeah, but the association is still different. So one day he was reading Nectar Devotion. He had read Nectar Devotion very often. And one day he was reading the same paragraph that he had read very, very often. And this time, as he was reading, he experienced that as he was reading, he finished the one paragraph and he started reading the next paragraph. And all of a sudden, he heard Srila Prabhupada reading that paragraph to him like he was physically present, giving the class. And when he had that experience, he realized that, yes, it's true. Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports are non-different from him. And it just means that we need to keep progressing so that we can then experience that. And similarly with Guru Maharaj, his glories, his pastimes, his recordings, right? His writings, they're non-different from him. And as children growing up, we need to just keep going, keep continuing. And this was Guru Maharaj's mood also. No matter how much you're struggling, it's okay, just carry on. It's wonderful. Don't worry, just carry on. Right? And as we carry on this journey, right, one day we will also experience that we were never separated in the first place.
Okay, wow. Well, thank you very much. That's very comforting to know, to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pick on, if I may, Balaram Prabhu, who's a very senior devotee, disciple of Guru Maharaj, spent a lot of time in South Africa. So Balaram, would you kind of take this opportunity to share something or ask a question for all our enlightenment?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I am almost ecstatically listening to your presentation, and I'm very happy to have a God brother like you. You are really brought Guru Maharaj's mood into the presence. I'm taking notes of your notes. They were very, very inspiring and brought really Guru Maharaj into the presence of this audience. And I feel Guru Maharaj even more present now, after a few months of course, him going away. But the astonishing thing is that when you search for Guru Maharaj, then these memories come, and all of a sudden they are not memories. They are here. They are now. His instructions are not just for the moment where he gave them. They are your guidelines. And just to remember the guidelines, you bring Guru Maharaj into the presence. And I feel Guru Maharaj's presence again, very strong. He used to chastise me also, like he chastised you. And I was hankering a long time for getting such chastisement again. And he's doing it now again. There was a particular memory of yours that when you first saw Guru Maharaj, he was chanting Radha Madhav. The same happened to me. I was invited to the temple. We were a kind of a group outside from the Zurich temple, and I used to get invitations from Guru Lila Prabhu, who was the temple commander at that time, and he invited me to come to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. He said there is a very nice sannyasi from India coming, so please come. And I just entered the class a little late, and Guru Maharaj was just chanting Radha Madhav at that time. And the same thing happened, but just when I saw Guru Maharaj, it just like the light goes on. You don't have any doubt that he is there. He has arrived. So I felt very touched when you told it, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just like to share one thing that came to my mind. One time, Srila Prabhupada was also asked when he was leaving, now that you're leaving, who's going to correct us? Who's going to instruct us? And Srila Prabhupada responded, one time responded that the holy name will be there. Another time, Srila Prabhupada said, I'll come in your dreams. When Bhakti Charu Maharaj was asked, now that you're not, you're leaving, how are you going to, help us? And Bhakti Charu Maharaj said, I will come in your dreams. So we know that Swapna Darshan, 3 ways that the Lord appears, and one is Swapna Darshan. So the Lord, so even Guru Maharaj can appear in your dreams.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah. So it's not like he's not there. In fact, he's more there now than he was when he was physically present. And that's how I felt, because physically when he was present on the planet, he was in another part of the world, and I'm expecting him to come to South Africa, and I'm expecting him to call me. But now he's on a different dimension, and he can connect at any time. It's we who now need to qualify and now need to, it's like Guru Maharaj gave the example, right? When the mother is helping the child to walk, then the mother will go behind the curtain to see if the child's going to try to grow or try to walk on their own accord. So like that, Guru Maharaj was helping, and now Guru Maharaj is behind the curtain watching. Are you now going to try to walk and come closer? So the onus is really on us to not give up and to continue.
Okay, no, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm conscious of time. Absolutely wonderful session, Nrsimhananda Prabhu. Perhaps we can chant one round, one Hare Krishna, and as you mentioned, the Guru Maharaj is also present in the holy name. It was the one way of connecting. And also, I would, remind devotees, listeners, that if you do get the opportunity, Chaitanya Life Academy, there was a link, was also in the chat, right? Please do take advantage of that. It's very nice, as I say, just before joining, I was looking at some of the videos, and it's a very sort of systematic presentation of Srila Prabhupada's books. So, thank you very much, Nrsimhananda Prabhu, for such wonderful endeavor and work that you're doing, service that you're doing for the whole devotee community. So, okay, would you like to lead us for one time finally?
Yeah, I guess if everybody would like to unmute, they're most welcome to
unmute.
unmute.
Yeah, please unmute you, and we can.
So we'll chant Hare Krishna one time, and then we'll offer obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. All right, let's just do this. If all of you want to unmute, you're most welcome to. All right, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Patitam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Ananda Bodhi Vaishnavanda ki jai,
Jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you again, Nrsimhananda Prabhu, and thank you, devotees, for joining this nectarian pastime. One small announcement. We have Bhakti Prem Maharaj will be visiting London next week, and he's doing a program on Sunday, and so we'll send some details out of that program. It sort of coincides with the normal remembrance sessions, so I think we'll kind of jump onto his program instead. So that would be a very nice opportunity to have his association as well. So look forward to having all your association again. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.